I know everybody a go lie. Stop like a gal. I know everybody a go lie. Success don't come overnight. No make them know a substance over hype. Do it for the love, me not do it for the life.
What's up, Fit Fam? Hello, my name is Jason Harris. I'm unofficially the fittest commercial real estate professional south of Boston, aka Coach FitPro J, your diet-free fat loss specialist. I've been there, done that, and now I help others do the same. I help successful busy people turn their mom and dad bods into, oh my God, bods without overwhelm by keeping it simple, keeping it moving, and keeping it real. Using my three-phase program, Diet Free Bootcamp for successful busy people. If you'd like to connect with a coach that talks the talk and walks the walk, you could direct message me right here on Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. Tonight, registered dietitian Tiana Celesia, a few guests, and I are going to talk about how alcohol affects your fitness goals. Before I bring everybody out, I'm going to bring Tiana out and introduce her. Let me
Hello.
fix this. Hey, Tiana, how are you? Long time no see.
I know, I'm doing great. Thanks.
Would you mind introducing yourself to the new group members so that they know who you are, what you do, and where you're located?
All right. Thank you. So, Tiana Celesia, I'm a registered dietitian, certified functional medicine practitioner with a passion all about the gut and digestive health. I am located in Boston and North Shore. I do have a physical space on Charles Street in Beacon Hill, and I also meet with people virtually. So, you can find me in a lot of places.
Awesome. Thanks, Tiana. Appreciate that. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and I am going to bring our guest out. Let's see. One, two, and there might be some joining us as well. All right. So we're going to talk about how alcohol affects your fitness goals. And I think maybe to start this off, let me fix this here. There we go. All right. To start this off, I just wanted to mention about alcohol, right? Most people are going for weight loss or fat loss. So that's like a major thing. And I wanted to bring some things to light as far as alcohol, if you guys don't know, that kind of pertain to weight loss and fat loss first. And then we'll get into an informal discussion. But one of the things is alcohol. It has 7 calories in it. So alcohol has calories. There's 7 calories for every gram of alcohol. Just so you guys know, protein and carbohydrates, they're each 4 calories for every gram of each one of those. And fat happens to be 9 grams of calories for every gram of fat. So alcohol's 7, it's in between. So a lot of calories in a gram of alcohol. And to give you an idea, an ounce, like a shot, would be somewhere around 80 calories of like a clear spirit, something to that effect. So that's one thing. So alcohol has calories, but the thing about it is your body doesn't store alcohol. Your body doesn't store alcohol like it stores fat and fat storage, and it stores carbohydrates in the liver and in your muscles as glycogen first, and then it spills over into fat storage as well, the excess calories. So your body does not, it can't store alcohol. So if you're drinking alcohol, you're not only consuming 7 calories per gram, you're also stopping the carbohydrates, fats, and protein from being burnt at all because the body prioritizes burning off the alcohol first because it's a toxin. So during alcohol, when you're drinking, after probably a few drinks, you might not be paying attention, and that could cause you to eat more than you normally would because you're not paying attention, or some of the things that you normally wouldn't eat. So it's very easy to get into a calorie surplus with alcohol, considering those things. Alcohol has calories. Alcohol has to be burnt off first before anything else. So if you continue to drink, you're not burning any protein, carbs, or fat from the meals. And then you're probably eating things that you probably shouldn't or in excess of, which is more calories. So you could see how it's very easy to get into a calorie surplus when it comes to alcohol and fat loss. I'm going to stop there and does anybody have any questions or anything to mention about what I just said? I wanted to kick it off with that.
Not
I
yet.
wish I had a cricket sound.
I wasn't
Actually,
sure if
I
I
have
should
a
just
question.
jump in there. So,
I have a
Okay,
question.
go ahead,
I mean,
Casey.
I think you touched on those main points. And, when you're talking about a gram of alcohol, most of us are not drinking, or people are usually not drinking pure alcohol. So we also have to consider what else is in the glass, so to speak. So it's not just the alcohol itself. I mean, it's the total caloric impact. So it's what you're mixing it with as well. So there's that whole spectrum. Are we having a vodka club soda, or is it a margarita or a pina colada? That sort of thing too. So you hit upon the caloric impact, which is
Awesome. I
important
have
for things.
stuff set up for us too with what you had just mentioned about not just consuming the alcohol, but other things that come with it that's in the glass, right? So I'll get into that. Let's take care of Casey's question first, and then we'll get into that. What's your question, Casey?
I feel like sometimes when I'm drinking, after like a night of drinking, I feel hungrier. But I don't know, is that accurate, or is it just because sort of your inhibitions are lowered and you just want bad food and you eat more than you normally would? Or can it actually make you feel hungrier?
Do you want me to address that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I mean, I do think that the inhibition lowering is a piece of this, but there's a physiological effect of alcohol on your body that does affect blood sugar. So, what do we usually think of when we think of a blood sugar lowering effect? Makes us hungry, right? So there's I think partly in the moment. So there's the social aspect of it, and then there's the physiological aspect of it for sure. And I mean, we could go on to say, also ask you a question to say, are we feeling hungrier right after? Are we feeling hungry when we get home a couple of hours later? Are we feeling hungrier in the morning? So, and each one of those comes with a physiological reason. So, and I mean, we can go into that now, or we can kind of touch base with that. But some of it has to do with potentially a poor night's sleep, a little dehydration, right? So the body's reaction to having to have metabolized that, and it's craving for nutrients. So there's many levels that go along with that. So it's a good observation.
Awesome. Like anything, right? It depends. It depends. There's so many different answers. Like Tiana, like you were saying, are you hungry right after you get back home? Is it the next morning? That sort of thing. Which kind of brings me, I'm gonna table the whole what else is in the cup with the alcohol as far as calories first with the different types of drinks, because we'll talk about that later. But as far as the practical impacts of drinking, right? You touched on it, Tiana, the bad quality sleep, right? Maybe the tossing and turning, you're a little sick or whatever, that sort of thing. That's going to hinder your recovery big time. And another practical issue with that is that if you feel like crap the next morning, you might skip a workout or not end up working out or not have as good a workout. And not only that, like you said, Tiana, the practical implications of being dehydrated, because alcohol does dehydrate you, diuretic, correct?
Yes.
Right. So those are things you got to watch out for too, not just the calories, but the practical effects of what actually does physiologically, which brings me to another thing. I'm sure you can touch on this, Tiana. Hormones, it affects your hormones, and like insulin sensitivity, cortisol levels, as well as growth hormones, sex-specific hormones. Uh, and the effects are acute, of course, in the short term. Uh, you don't really have to worry about the long term until unless it's a chronic thing and we have a real issue here with drinking. But do you want to touch on the hormone aspect of things, Tiana?
I would say my background is probably related more towards that, when we're talking hormones, that the cortisol, the glucagon, the insulin, certainly. But I did come across an interesting fact that women on birth control, who generally are dealing with more estrogen in their system, are going to metabolize alcohol differently. So that was kind of like a cool little tidbit that I came across. So sometimes when we hormones is such a wide, vast topic because people say, "Oh, I want to balance my hormones." Well, which ones? There's so many different hormones. We're talking about sex hormones, thyroid hormones, appetite hormones, the cortisol, stress hormones. There's so many hormones. So certainly that will have an effect.
Definitely, yeah, major effect. Um, they all people don't even think of those angles of it at all, usually. Does anybody have any questions so far before we get into anything else? I tell you, I need that cricket sound. No, nobody? All right. So, how about we talk about the different types of alcohol and the caloric implications of them? How's that sound? Yes, no, no. Okay. Anyway, so you guys, man, what a crowd. Low calorie options. Say like a dry red or white wine. That would be, we're talking about like good, better, best here, right? So Cabernet Sauvignon or like a Pinot Grigio or something like that. A 6 ounce glass of that would be about 120 to 140 calories with about maybe 4 to 5 grams of carbs attached to it too. So you're not only getting the calories from the actual alcohol content, 7 calories per gram, but you're also dealing with these 20 or so grams of carbohydrates that come with it too. And it's a quick, quick absorbing carbohydrate. It's a sugar, essentially. We're not talking about starchy carbs here. So that's another thing. So dry red white wine would probably be your first best bet. Clear spirits would probably be the next. I'm talking about like clear, like Bacardi rum or vodka, something like that. And of course, you want to mix it with a low cal or a diet or no cal type of soda. But you're going to get at least 80 calories for every ounce of the clear spirit that you put in there. So if you have like a regular rum and coke, for instance, you're going to have those 80 calories from however many ounces you put in, right? I don't know, you guys heavy with 2 or 3 ounces, I don't know. Anyway, but you got that at least 80 calories from that 1 ounce. And then you also have, how many sugar calories are there or grams of sugar are there typically in like a soda, like a can of Coke, like 30, 35, something crazy like that. Um,
Unless it's
which
Coke Zero.
That's right. The zero, you're good with the calorie part of it. And that's the better way to go with the clear spirits. But you don't, like, the point is you don't want to go with a full sugar soda with something like that because, again, the alcohol is going to get burnt off first before the sugar is even touched. Never mind anything that you ate. All right. And then after clear spirits, maybe like a hard seltzer or light beer, that sort of thing, where you're still getting that every ounce, 80 calories, but you're only getting maybe like 5 grams of carbs or even less. Like I think Michelob Ultra or something like that is like a few calories of, I'm sorry, a few grams of carbohydrates. So you're getting the alcohol calories and you're getting minimal carbohydrate calories. It's when you start getting into conventional beer or like the craft beer, you got an issue because the conventional beer, one can is like 160 calories, and then you're getting 15 grams of carbohydrates in that conventional beer. 15 grams times four, look at another additional 60 calories at least on top of the 160. So we're in the 220 range here now for one can of beer. I mean, that's huge compared to like 6 ounces of red wine or white wine. And then last, like craft beer. Craft beer, it usually tastes better. It's a variation on beer. It's usually a lot higher in carbohydrates. So you're getting probably more than 15 grams of carbohydrates, especially in some of the sweet stuff. And then the alcohol content is typically maybe a little bit higher as well. So again, dry red or white wine would be your first choice, clear spirits with no calorie or low calorie soda, and then hard seltzer or light beer. And then you get into your conventional beers. Anything to say about that, Tiana?
Well, then we've got those fancy drinks, the vacation drinks as I call them, right? Your pina coladas and your margaritas and the things that are made with syrups and sometimes even higher fat. Your after dinner drinks, your espresso martinis. And that's the other thing is who's pouring the drink? What are you ordering, right? So some martinis are 3 ounces of alcohol. I would say a standard drink is probably a shot and a half. And so some of the strategies are also, how are we stretching this out? So I would often recommend to my clients who really feel they want to have a little something, but they're not really after the alcohol effect. It's sometimes it's more like the culinary adventure or the socialization. So we might talk about a white wine spritzer. Right now we can have it's like a 2-for-1, right? Because we've cut the alcohol in half. So so just reinforcing what you just said. It's the caloric impact, and we know things don't always come down to just calories, but we're also talking about nutrient density. I mean, what are we getting out of that that's actually beneficial for our body? I mean, maybe you're getting a few vitamins in a beer, probably nothing really in your clear liquid, your clear alcohols. We might make an argument for red wine, a little resveratrol, right? A little bit of those antioxidants. So again, what is part of it is what is our purpose? Again, if we're drinking fine wine for the culinary experience, we're going wine tasting in the country, we're going to another country. So it's that piece of it too.
Awesome. That's right. So there are different strategies. Does anybody have any questions before I start talking again?
Well, what about the canned salsas that are 100 calories in a can?
Like the hard seltzer, like White Claw, things like that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the White Claw. You're
Ciroc, Truly, there's a million of them now.
sure, sure. You just want to pay attention to the grams of or the carbohydrates that are in them, like are they sweet or they're not, and the amount that you drink, of course. And I mean, I don't really drink, so I don't know. Does anybody take the hard seltzer and cut it at all with like soda water or something like that?
No,
Is that a thing? No?
no,
No.
because it's
It's
not
already cut.
alcoholic tasting.
Right. It's already
It's already
already
cut. If you
diluted.
cut it anymore, you'll be drinking water.
Right.
All right.
And
So
I
no,
would
I
not
mean,
dare. And I would not dare to put anything into my liquid, into my alcohol, because that is just wrong.
Well, that's what we're
absolutely.
saying is, what is the goal here, right? Are you looking for the effect of the actual of the alcohol, or is it the flavor component? Is it part of a meal? Is it how you gather with friends? I just think, alcohol in general it's a big topic, right? So right now we're focused on the nutritional implications. Mostly, if we had to take 2 buckets, we fill more of the negative bucket than the positive bucket. But I want people to walk away from this to say, there are you could argue for a couple of the positives, right, from what we just said, in terms of some of the nutrients that you might get from it. And then part of that, what's your goal here is, alcohol does relax us, and that comes up a lot, even with me working with clients about uh, managing the amount of alcohol that someone takes in is alcohol your only strategy, or is it one of many strategies that you use, right? So there's appropriate use of it, and then sometimes it falls into the category of it becoming less appropriate, right? So to take the judginess away from this conversation, we're really just specifically going to give you education and facts about what it's doing in the body so you can make more informed decisions. So
Right. No, that makes complete sense. It's all in context. Oh, go ahead, Keon.
So, I guess my question would be then, if we're talking about strategies, is does minimizing the amount, the times you drink help as a strategy? So I don't drink all week until maybe Fridays, sometimes Fridays, most of the time Saturday, where maybe you go out, you hang out, you're kind of kicking it. You went to a bar, or you went to the restaurant, or whatever. You might even be at home, but probably usually don't really have a drink until Saturday. So I guess, how do you, manage that, or do you just cut it all out altogether?
Oh no. You should never have to cut anything completely out at all. There are multiple
Everything in
strategies.
moderation.
Yeah, it's about defining that moderation though. How it's quantifying that moderation is
Right.
what it
Yeah, I
is.
know when I want
Yeah.
to be social, like I'll take like 3 cans with me and I'll just like pace myself. So then people say, "What's the matter? You're not drinking tonight?" Yeah, I'm drinking. I'm just being responsible, drinking a little bit. I'm being social, but I'm not overdoing it.
Well, there's the compromise right there, because I mean, we're talking about nutrition, fat loss, things like that. Fat loss, we're all adults here, and we have a agenda or goal of fat loss, let's say, right? Well, there's got to be compromise involved. And what kind of compromise? Well, there's one right there. You pace yourself, right? There's
Right.
other ways to pace yourself as well. Like, for instance, that's why I was asked about cutting the hard seltzer, but you wouldn't have to cut the hard seltzer. You just, be mindful of how many you're drinking. That's all. It's already cut for you, if you will. So, like,
Right.
if you're drinking something like a clear spirit, you might want to cut that with, club
Definitely.
soda, that sort of thing. And again, like,
Ice,
but yeah,
ice.
absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So that's what usually what I'll have is a glass with, a smaller glass anyways for the most part, filled halfway, and then ice added.
That's right. And then you can start to take another step and add the ice, and maybe a quarter of it is seltzer. You know what
Right.
I mean? And then see how that goes. And then kind of wean yourself down a little bit, not all the way off, but just down. Because again, you're in the middle of trying to do something. Um, and you can start bringing that back up once you get to a goal and manage it that way. But that's another way to do it. You want to go into your situation, no matter what it is, with a plan. That's the biggest thing. Go into your situation with a plan, to go drink. Um, are you going to be eating at this? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to take into consideration. Ask yourself: is it going to be food at this function that you're going to, that or where you're going? Did you eat before you left? Like, what's your eating plan looking like for the day or for the evening that you're going to go and drink? And you could do certain things, certain
Like, just,
strategies that you could do.
I guess it just depends on what the plan is for that day, right? Like, I mean, most of the time I go out and drink, it's at night. So I've pretty much gotten all my meals in for the day. I don't really need to eat anything, um, unless I feel as though the alcohol is overwhelming me to the point where the food that I did eat prior to going out is not cutting me as far as, I guess, absorbing the liquor, so to say.
So that brings up something that we hadn't really covered yet is, the process of how does that alcohol actually get into our system. So you just introduced that there, about, how do we actually absorb alcohol? I mean, alcohol, if we soaked our hand in it, would probably be absorbed into the bloodstream. I mean, it just like flows through, our mucosal layer of the stomach and then the intestine, but it's very easily absorbed. It doesn't really need, transporters, so to speak. So having food does slow down the absorption. You're still getting the alcohol in your system. It's not
Right.
like it's going to come in and
Right.
go
It's not
out.
running away. Right.
But in terms of the effect it's going to have on you, when people are talking about how alcohol affects their brain, we do have data on how fast we absorb alcohol, how fast it potentially can get metabolized, and certainly having food in your system is going to slow down the absorption. And we also know that people of different sizes will metabolize and absorb, well, not really absorb, but metabolize differently. And those who are used to drinking will build up a little bit more of the enzymes to metabolize alcohol. So, I mean, we do need enzymes to break it down. And there are some people who do not make those enzymes very easily, and they feel even half a drink. They might be the people who really can't drink. Um, but to get back, like, how much do I have? When do I have? And all of that. I mean, we have data in terms of health risks that looks more at how many drinks over the course of the week. So they recommend for women an average, no more than one a day. Not that they're saying drink every day, but the average, one a day. For men, they could probably, I think the statistics show that they can get away with two. I mean, they're a larger person typically. But when we get back to what are the goals, if you want the fastest path somewhere, you want the fastest path to fitness goal and health, alcohol is going to take you like down the side road. I mean, it's not going to get you there as fast, but that doesn't mean you can't choose to go that route. You can choose to, take little ventures off the highway, off the side roads. It just takes a little bit longer to get to your goal. So again, this is about education and then allowing the individual to make their own choices. But keeping in mind, it is going to keep you a little bit further, slow you down from that ultimate goal. So and we could talk more also about other effects that it might have on us, but thinking about what's the total impact on that day of that alcohol, what's your situation in terms of safety, right? In terms of making sure it's not having a really negative effect. That's just something to consider, is that if you're drinking 1 or 2 times a week, that probably still fits in with the general like safe level, for your body in terms of like statistics, in terms of cancer and other things that we do need to be considered, that are some of the downsides of drinking alcohol.
And I know you guys have any questions?
I do. Is there anything that can be done after the fact that might minimize like the damage from the alcohol? Like if you did go out and you had a few too many drinks, like I know I'll always try to make sure I drink plenty of water before I go to bed to try to minimize a hangover, etc. Is there any kind of
Yes, I do believe, yes. Okay. So that gets back to what is it actually doing in your body?
Mhm.
So I would say there's ways to mitigate the effects. I don't think there's a complete reversal, because the effect is the effect, right? A couple of things you mentioned is staying well hydrated. Having a little food in your system. I always tell people, in terms of the least effect on sleep is going to happen if you metabolize all of the alcohol before going to sleep. So based on, let's just say it's 1 drink per hour, that it takes to metabolize your alcohol, and you're keeping that pace and you're having 2 or 3 drinks over 2 or 3 hours, you kind of have to stop drinking an hour or so before bed, depending on how much you've had. That's just in terms of helping to mitigate the negative effects on your sleep. If hydration is an issue, making sure that you're well hydrated, but you may also need a little bit of electrolytes, a little pinch of salt or something like that. Maybe, again, it's all individualized to the person. I don't want to make, specific recommendations about potassium and magnesium, because I don't know, your particular circumstances, but most people, a little pinch of salt will just help that water get absorbed.
They do have packets now too that you can buy.
Oh,
So
I
you
bet they do. I bet
So
they
you
do.
don't
Yeah.
have a hangover in the morning. You feel fine.
Well, so one of the other reasons someone will have negative effects is that, the metabolism of alcohol, I mean, you're basically detoxifying something, requires a lot of nutrients. So, I'd say if I had to just give you a very general recommendation, B vitamins. If you're going out drinking, you might want to consider, a little bit of a B complex vitamin, right? In
I
terms
think that's in some of those packets too.
That's
Yes.
probably, we years
And
ago
salt,
we
too.
talked about, oh, we should come up with some kind of a supplement. I think somebody already did it. It's too late for that. But yeah, I would assume it would have B vitamins, because that's kind of what you use up during the metabolism process. But as the gut specialist, I look to see what are the negative effects on the digestive lining and on the digestive tract. And unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity there. It is going to irritate the gut lining. It is going to make your gut more likely to be permeable or leaky. That then allows toxins into the bloodstream. I mean, that's the area that I focus in, or focus on, based on wanting people to do the best job they can about keeping a healthy digestive system. That's a little bit more than this conversation, because that's more other lifestyle factors, making sure you don't have leaky gut to begin with. But it also will disrupt the microbial balance. And so, again, making sure you're eating the right foods and taking care of your microbiome. So for some people, it's not as simple as taking a probiotic, but it's what you're doing on a daily, regular basis that counts more than, the once in a while when we're talking about gut health. But hydration, little electrolytes, some B vitamins. Again, there we just came up with that. I don't know what that remedy is, but I was like, it's already out there.
It's under a couple of different label names.
I bet.
Yeah. It seems to work though. I know people that take them all the time.
Hey, it's better than not doing it. If you're going to drink, you want to give your body the tools it needs to break down that alcohol, because it's a multi-step process. It's like a recipe. There's lots of recipes in your body, and the recipe for detoxifying alcohol requires some of those nutrients.
Awesome. That's another awesome take on it too that a lot of people don't think about. And you guys have any questions on that part of it, or any questions at all?
No.
Okay, so back a couple months ago, did a live here broadcast, and it was about how to win on the weekends. And I had a graphic. I'm going to bring that up real quick because I want to make a point and talk about alcohol and calories once more. All right, so this whole weekend overeating can destroy your diet. During the week you're okay, then Friday, Saturday, you get all like alcohol and whatnot. Anyhow, we know how we talked about alcohol has 7 calories per gram, and then carbohydrates and some of these other drinks, like some of these light beers have 5 grams of carbohydrates, which is equal to another 20 calories. And if you have a few, it starts to add up. There are some advanced strategy you can take if you track. And I know Keon, I know Casey, I know you guys track your nutrients and whatnot. So as it pertains to that, you can actually let me rewind. If you're eating a calorie deficit to lose body fat, right? And you drink and you're tracking all your macros, the Saturday that you go to drink, what you can do if you want to just track overall calories, never mind nutrients, but just overall calories, what I would do as a strategy is I would track my drinks and know how many calories as well as carbohydrates are going to be in the drink. And again, it's real easy to figure that out. You can talk to me before you go out and I'll give you that information. But say, for instance, you have a hard seltzer, okay? And that hard seltzer, it has 80 calories from alcohol. And then it has 5 grams of carbohydrates. That's equal to 20 calories. So it's 100 calories total. So the 5 grams of carbohydrates, you would go ahead and put that and track that as in your carbohydrates that you track, okay? Now you have to account for those other 80 calories of alcohol. So those 80 calories of alcohol, you would go ahead and count them as carbohydrates or fat. Don't take from your protein. You want to keep your protein the same. So 80 calories divided by 4, 20, right? So you would take 20 grams of carbohydrates away from, or you would track 20 grams of carbohydrates for the alcohol and those 5 grams of carbohydrates for the 5 grams of carbohydrates that's in the drink. That way, your total calories, when you track, you'll be able to keep track that you don't go over your calorie amount for the day. So once you track enough, you're like, oh, wait, I hit my calories for the day, I can't drink anymore, sort of thing. So that's a advanced strategy that you can utilize to track your overall calories for the day that you drink so that you don't go over in actual calories. Now, again, you still have those practical effects, right, of the effects of drinking. You have the dehydration you got to deal with. Tiana, thanks for that. As far as metabolizing the alcohol an hour before you go to sleep so that you get a restful sleep. Those hangover packets or whatever, so that the next day you don't feel bad and you can actually go to the gym and get a good workout. So these are different strategies that you can employ to minimize the slow or detour, as Tiana was saying, on your fat loss journey, because alcohol drinking, it will slow you down. It won't stop it. It will just slow you down is all. And again, we're all adults. You just make a compromise. You make a choice. The less alcohol you ingest, or the better way you go about it and drink the correct things and pace yourself and use all these strategies, whatever like Keon said, different night might call for different strategies, right? As long as you're employing these strategies each time, you can still have fat loss occur and not be stuck. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to, before we, wrap up, or I'm not sure where we're at with that, but I would like to mention a safety feature here with alcohol. And I don't think any of your followers and the people that you work with, Jason, are on ketogenic diets. But
Absolutely not.
well, I just want to put this out for anybody who might be listening to this, who isn't a client of yours yet, who might be going keto and try to reach their goals that way. I just want to put a warning out there, that if you are in strict ketosis and you drink alcohol, that could be very dangerous. So I just want to put that out there. So we talked about how, alcohol has to be metabolized. But we hadn't really talked about how the body requires glucose, whether you're eating glucose or not. It requires it, and it will make it. We basically have an on-demand glucose generator, like some homes have on-demand water heaters. We have on-demand glucose makers, the liver, gluconeogenesis, and everything works great. Your body just knows what to do. It makes glucose as needed if you're not eating it. However, if you're in that state of ketosis where basically you're not eating the glucose and the body has to make it for you, and you put alcohol into that system, it uses the same pathway. It's kind of like a trucking system, and it needs these trucks to deliver the goods, but the trucks are all full, so it can't deliver the goods, can't make the glucose that you need, and you could pass out. So I just needed to add that to today's discussion, even though no one here is probably in that category, but just good to know.
Tiana, before I was working with Jason, I was doing keto, and every time I would try to drink when I was in keto, I would get very, very sick, even from 2 drinks, like violently.
There you go.
That'll keep
And I
you
didn't
alive.
understand why. And I tried to read about it, and I there wasn't anything really that I could find to explain why that was happening.
It's a biochemical pathway, and if anybody who is interested in knowing what the actual biochemical pathway is, not that I don't know it by heart by any means, but it's like a recipe again. One thing becomes another, becomes another, becomes another, and I always think of like little Ferris wheels. Little pieces of nutrients is being made and put into our energy cycle, known as the Krebs cycle. Ketones are being used instead of glucose. So it's just an alternative fuel source. But, again, our body can make glucose as needed, even though we're not eating any. And that alcohol just totally gums up the works.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so if anybody picks up anything from this, it's like alcohol gums up the works. It might make you feel a bit better, but I've heard of people using, CBD is a big thing out these days, and I've heard of some people utilizing CBD as a way to not drink and use that instead to kind of help them out. And again, it's on an individual basis. It depends on why you're drinking and what the issue is in the first place, right? But for some people, CBD happens to help out with that sort of thing. So that's a little tidbit there.
Yeah.
Maybe you could drink less or what have you, that sort of thing instead. And there's a lot of benefits to CBD. I'm going to have a CBD person on here at some point too. So, but that's that. Does anybody have any other questions as far as alcohol is concerned, how to fix your fitness and all that and your goals? No? Pretty straightforward, huh? That you can drink and you can lose body fat. Absolutely. There's just a few things that you should pay attention to. And if you don't know what that is, that's what I'm here, or Tiana, just ask us. But again, there are simple to advanced strategies that you can employ to continue on your weight loss or fat loss journey and still get your drink on a little bit. Does that make sense? You don't have to cut it out totally. That's ridiculous. But again, hey, you want to get somewhere faster than, there's this compromise, right?
This is just about knowledge.
Pick your battles.
That's right. And again, the whole fat loss journey is a temporary journey to get there. Once you get there, you can lighten up on a lot of stuff, and you've created all these great habits already that you have employed and that you're doing, so that when you go to drink, it'll have less of an effect on you because you're already where you want to be. So in reality, I know that people try this whole fat loss thing over and over and over and over again, and they lose weight, but it's the whole weight maintenance problem because what? People don't have a weight loss or a fat loss problem. They have a fat or weight maintenance problem. But once you get to where you want to be, you can lighten up on that. And again, and maybe you won't drink as much as you did in the past because you'll be happier. But anyway, again, it just slows you down. That's all.
Something's got to give, right? Something about
Right?
your lifestyle. If nothing changes, nothing changes, right?
I definitely don't drink as much as I did, so it's definitely decreased a bit.
And
So
that's what people usually say.
yeah,
They're not drinking as much because for some people, that's what got them out of shape to begin with. I mean, again, I work with people who their eating is like top notch, but it's that social, drinking, the weekends, the types of drinks, and that kind of puts them over the edge. So
It'll easily kill your progress.
yeah, so that kind of remind me of the weekend warrior. You go out and you over exercise and you're like so sore because you don't do it Monday through Friday, and then you go over in the weekends. So it's kind of like you can't really do that with alcohol either, or yeah, you might not feel so well.
Exactly. No, that makes sense. But if anybody has any other questions that weren't answered on here, or you thought of something, go ahead and put them in the group underneath the video, or just make another post with it. That's fine, and we'll get it answered. Does anybody have any other questions at all before we head out? Nobody?
Nope.
Anything
I think we're
anything
good.
left to say, Tiana, at all?
I think we covered what we needed to in this type of a forum. This isn't really, we're not talking about having alcohol problems. That's a whole nother thing. And again, if anyone has questions more specific to them on how alcohol will negatively affect your gut health, because if you already have gut symptoms, you have gas or bloating, or things are just not the way they should be in that area, I can go into deeper information on how the alcohol could be affecting that.
Yeah, anything to do with the gut. Tiana's the woman for that, big time. That's her
Yeah, because I
specialty.
feel
So
like I watch what I drink because I have diverticulitis,
Okay.
and they say alcohol's not good for your stomach if you have that.
Well, anything that ends in itis is inflammation.
Yeah,
So, not that specifically it's going to create the inflammation in that like pouch, but if your osis has become itis, you probably shouldn't be drinking because you need to
right,
be healing, right? But if you have
right,
diverticulosis and it's not inflamed and become isis, that's a different story. So, which one it is also critical to know. Is it just that you have the propensity to have diverticulitis, or are you
yeah.
actually
It flares up every now and then.
right? So when it's flaring, it's diverticulitis.
Like
Otherwise, it's just the potential of
diverticulosis.
diverticulosis. But
Yeah,
you want to be more aware of providing your body with healing nutrients. So, in that respect, like we said, that alcohol is an empty calorie. It's not providing us any nutrients. So if we have a
right.
fixed amount of calories that we're going to eat in a day, we want to make them the most nutritious as possible. But also, if there's any inflammation, alcohol is going to make inflammation worse. So just something to consider.
Right.
Certainly not during a flare.
gas on the fire.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, no? All right. I'll go ahead and do my outro. I'm Coach FitPro J, your diet-free fat loss specialist. Like I said, I've been there, done that. Now I have the t-shirt. No, I'm just kidding. I help successful busy people turn their mom and dad bods into oh my God bods without overwhelm by keeping it simple, keeping it moving, and keeping it real. Using my three-phase program, Diet Free Bootcamp for Successful Busy People. If you'd like to connect with a coach that talks the talk and walks the walk, not her, me. She talks the talk and walks the walk too, though. You can direct message me right here on Facebook. And if you have any questions for Tiana, you can find her here in the Facebook group, or you could go to her website, tianacelesia.com. Correct, Tiana?
That's correct. And when is the 6-pack ab joke going to come up?
You know, I wasn't prepped for that.
that.
I know, right? I was gonna say it's possible to drink 6 packs and get a 6-pack. So I don't know.
No,
I had to go to Brockton and back
you want a
earlier.
6-pack.
You got to get the 6-pack before you start drinking the 6-pack.
Exactly.
There you go. Thank you, Keon. All right. Remember, Fit Fam, keep it simple, keep it moving, and keep it real, especially when it comes to your fitness. Have an awesome week, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Peace.
I know everybody a go like. Stop like a gal. I know everybody a go like. Success don't come overnight.